to install your new water ionizer. Start by unpacking your ionizer from the box along with all the accessories. The first thing would be to peel the protective film off of the front panel. There's a protective film over the display. It's usually easiest to start peeling the film off here in the corner where this label is. Let's take a look at the accessories that come with your new water ionizer. There's a diverter valve. This is used to connect your ionizer to the faucet. There's also 2 adapter rings with washers. This is used with the diverter in case the diverter itself doesn't fit your faucet. There's an angle stop adapter. This is used to connect your ionizer to the cold water line. There's a roll of plumber's Teflon tape. There's a bag with some assorted hardware and hose clips. These are optional items. There's also a spare fuse in the bag. A bottle of reagent drops to test the pH of your water. There's also a pH chart that is to be used with the reagent drops. There is an inline sediment or dust filter, an acidic outlet hose, a length of 1/4 inch tubing, a silver flexible hose, optional cover for the inlet and outlet ports on the bottom of the machine. There are 2 suction cups. These are optional and can be used to help route the tubing. It also includes a new water ionizer owner's manual and a hard water test strip and chart to help show what the best pre-filtration would be depending on your source water's hardness reading. Your new water ionizer can be installed one of 3 different ways. Method 1 is to install the ionizer by connecting it to your faucet using the enclosed diverter valve. Method 2 is to install the ionizer directly to your cold water line using the enclosed angle stop adapter. Method 3 is to install the ionizer under your counter using a new water under sink conversion kit. Full instructions for this method are included in the new water under sink conversion kit. We recommend using a licensed plumber for this method. In order to install your diverter valve to your faucet, you'll first need to remove the aerator. We've already removed it on this faucet. At this point, you may need to use some plumber's tape and wrap some around the threads in a clockwise direction. You may also need to use one of the adapter rings in order to attach the diverter to your faucet. Our diverter fits without an adapter ring. Attach the diverter by screwing it onto the faucet. Don't over tighten it. If there are leaks, you can always tighten it a little bit more. Once the diverter is installed on the faucet, remove the compression nut. Install the compression nut onto the end of the 1/4 inch tubing. Then install the 1/4 inch tubing onto the nipple on the side of the diverter. This can be a little difficult. Sometimes it helps to dip the end of the tubing into some very hot water for 30 seconds or so to soften the tubing. Once it's on there all the way, move the compression nut back down to the threads and tighten the compression nut. This lever in a downward position allows the water to flow out of the faucet and no water to flow through the tubing. When the lever is turned to this position, no water will flow out of the faucet. All the water will be diverted through the tubing. To install your ionizer using method 2, start by installing the angle stop adapter to your cold water line under the counter. Once the angle stop adapter has been installed, next you will install the 1/4-inch tubing into this port on the angle stop adapter. Do this by firmly pressing the tubing into the fitting. Make sure the tubing is seated all the way in so there won't be any leaking. If you need to remove the tubing, this is called a quick connect fitting. You will need to press the plastic ring or collet at the opening of the fitting. Press the collet inward towards the fitting while you pull the tubing out. The remainder of the installation steps for method 2 will be shown in a series of photos. Now that you have connected your 1/4-inch tubing to your source water, either at your faucet using the diverter valve or at your cold water line under the counter using the angle stop adapter, it's now time to connect the other end of that tubing to the bottom of your ionizer. You'll connect the tubing here to the tap inlet fitting on the bottom. Make sure to brace the back of the fitting with your other hand to prevent any damage. Then slide the end of the tubing into the fitting and press firmly to make sure that the tubing is installed all the way into the fitting. Now you're ready to install your acidic hose to the bottom of the ionizer. The acidic hose is included with the ionizer along with a hose clamp. To start, feed the hose clamp onto the end of the hose. Then, to make it easier, it might be a good idea to soak the end of the hose in a small amount of hot water first to soften the hose. This will make it easier to install it onto the acidic outlet elbow at the bottom of the ionizer. Be sure to brace the back of the outlet elbow with one hand to prevent any damage. Then, firmly but gently slide the tubing onto the acidic outlet elbow. Move the clamp up to the fitting. Then you may need to use a small pair of pliers to squeeze the clamp open and move it up onto the tubing that's on the fitting itself. Once you have the clamp in position, notice that there are a couple of openings in the bottom of the case. These openings are so that you can route the tubing and the power cord through the openings so that when you stand the ionizer up, the tubing routes nicely from underneath and the unit stands nicely on the counter. Your new water ionizer includes an optional inline sediment or dust filter. You would use this if you have sediment in your water. This would be placed in the tubing that supplies the cold water to your ionizer, and it would be placed closest to the ionizer. I will show you how to do this. Using the length of tubing that comes with your new water ionizer, and using a pair of sharp scissors, trim a short piece of tubing. Then install this short piece of tubing here to the tap water inlet. Then, first notice on the dust filter that there is an arrow. The arrow points in the direction of water flow. Install the dust filter on the end of the short piece of tubing with the arrow pointing as the water would flow into your ionizer. Then connect the tubing coming from your faucet diverter or your angle stop adapter in your cold water line to the other end of the dust filter, pressing the tubing firmly into the quick connect fitting. Now you're ready to install the flexible metal hose. This will screw into the spout on the top of the ionizer. Do not over tighten the flex hose. Now you will want to check to make sure your filters are properly seated. Remove the filter doors. Do this by pressing the lock release at the bottom of each door. Push the release in and slide the door upward. Then remove the door. You will notice there's a piece of styrofoam around each filter. You can remove this, it's just for shipping. Now you'll want to make sure that the filters are properly seated. Notice that each filter has a small cable. To remove the filter, you will first want to disconnect the cable. There is a small locking device on the connector. You will need to press on that small tab while you disconnect the wiring cable. The filter locks into place. You will need to rotate the filter counterclockwise, approximately a quarter turn, so that the tabs are lined up with the holes. You can then gently lift the filter out. To install the filter, place it back in the base, lining the tabs up with the holes. Press the filter down and then turn the filter clockwise until it is locked into place. Then connect the cable, making sure that the locking device matches up with the space on the receptacle. Plug the cable in. Repeat this procedure with filter number 2 on the left-hand side. Once you have checked to make sure both filters are properly seated, leave the filter doors off until you have completed your installation and have been able to run water through your ionizer and check for any leaking. You're now ready to start the water flow through your ionizer. Notice that we have not installed the filter doors. We did this on purpose because now will be the time to check for leaks around the filters and at all the connections. When you start the water flow through your machine, if you have your ionizer connected to the faucet using the diverter valve, you will first turn on the cold water at your faucet. Then turn the lever on the diverter to divert the water to your ionizer. Then you will need to turn the flow knob on the front of the ionizer counterclockwise to the fully open position. If your ionizer is connected to your cold water line using the angle stop adapter, you will need to make sure that your cold water is turned on and that the angle stop adapter is opened so that the water can flow to your ionizer. Then you will just need to turn the flow knob on the front counterclockwise to the fully open position. Once you start the water flow through your machine, the display will light up and you will hear a voice prompt.
Alkaline ionized water on process.
Notice that you have 5 choices of alkaline water, levels 1 through 5. When you choose one of the alkaline levels, the alkaline water will come out through the flexible hose, and acidic water will come out through the drain hose. You also have 2 levels of acidic water. When you choose one of the acidic levels, the acidic water will now be coming out of the flexible hose, and alkaline water will come out of the drain hose. When you choose an acidic setting, the unit will also play a melody that will alert you that you have the machine set to an acidic setting.
Acidic ionized water on process. Crystal clear water in production.
You also have the purified choice. When you choose purify, you will get filtered water from both the flexible hose and the drain hose. The flow rate of the water coming out of the ionizer is controlled with the flow knob on the front. There is also a flow indicator on the screen that will show whether the flow rate is high, standard, or low. Usually, it's best to have the water in the middle at the standard setting. But remember, as you slow the water down with the flow knob, the slower the flow of water, the higher and stronger the pH you will get from the ionizer. You also have 2 filter usage indicators on the screen for filter 1 and filter 2. These indicators will tell you when it's time to replace your filters. Once you have flushed your filters, do this for a minute or 2 until the water runs clear, and you have checked the connections and the filters for leaks, then it is time to reinstall the filter doors. Remember to match the 4 tabs on the door with the 4 slots that are on the main body of the unit. Match up the tabs and then slide the door down to lock it in place. Same procedure with the filter door on the other side. Protect your investment. Always test your tap water using the hard water test strip that is included to find out the hardness level of your tap water. Hard water is water that is rich in minerals, especially calcium. Compare your test strip to the hard water chart included in order to find the appropriate hard water solution. Your new water ionizer includes a bottle of pH reagent drops and a pH color chart to be used with the drops. The drops are used to test the pH of the water coming from your ionizer. Refer to your new water owner's manual for the procedure. Your new water ionizer includes an optional cover plate. This plate would be installed here using 4 screws that are included in the accessories. The plate also has holes so that the tubing can pass through these spaces. Never install this plate until you have fully completed your installation and checked the machine for leaks.
Alkaline ionized water on process.
How to replace your filters and reset your filter counters. There are 2 filter indicators on the screen, filter 1 and filter 2. When the filter indicators read 999, They indicate that it is time to replace your filters. To replace the filters, first make sure the water flow is turned off. Start by removing the filter door. Press the lock button at the bottom of the filter. While holding it in, slide the filter up and remove the filter. Next, you'll need to disconnect the wiring cable. There's a small locking tab on the cable that you will need to press in while you disconnect the cable. Once the cable is disconnected, you will remove the filter by turning the filter counterclockwise about a quarter of a turn so that the locking tabs are now moved to the open space. Be sure to have a towel handy. The filter will be full of water. Lift up on the filter. Before installing your new filter, you may want to dry up any excess water that's in the filter compartment or on the machine. Then your new filter may have a seal at the bottom. Be sure to remove the seal. Place the new filter into the filter compartment, matching up the tabs with the openings. Press it down into place and then turn the filter clockwise until it is locked into place, about a quarter turn. Then be sure to connect the cable. The cable can only be connected in one direction. If it's the other direction, you won't be able to connect it. Once you connect the cable, it will automatically reset your filter counter back to 0. After installing the new filters, be sure to run water through the filters to flush out any carbon dust and check for any leaking of the new filter. Then reinstall the filter door. The procedure for filter 2 is the same. Enjoy your new water ionizer.